The movie begins on April 18, 2003, in a small town called Sweetly. We meet a teenage girl named Summer, who arrives at a high school party held in an old warehouse. At the entrance, Summer meets her nerdy classmate Quinn, who is holding a red envelope. Quinn notices that Summer looks anxious, and it is revealed that she has recently lost her best friend, Emmy. Summer explains that she only came to the party that night because she was too scared to stay home alone, especially with a serial killer still on the loose. Quinn tries to hand the envelope to Summer, but her ex-boyfriend Ethan shows up and invites her inside. Ethan then grabs everyone's attention at the party and proposes a toast to their friends who have passed away, Val, Brian, and Emmy. It turns out that they were all murdered by a serial killer known as the Sweetly Slasher, and Ethan has thrown this party as a tribute to them. However, a short while later, Summer begins to feel very uneasy. She wonders how everyone can have fun after the recent tragedy, while she deeply misses Emmy. Just then, Ethan accidentally spills his drink on Summer's clothes, which only upsets her more. Summer heads to the bathroom to clean up. Meanwhile, a few police officers arrive at the party and break it up due to a curfew imposed after the string of murders. Summer is still in the bathroom when all this happens. In her confusion, she tries to find a way out but gets trapped behind a fence. The killer follows her, and with no place left to hide, Summer runs into a nearby warehouse. But as Summer tries to hide in the warehouse, her belt makes a sound, revealing her location to the killer. The scene then shifts to 21 years later, in 2024, where we meet Lucy, Summer's younger sister, who was born after her death. Lucy recounts how the Sweetly Slasher carried out a series of murders over 3 days from April 16 to April 18, 2003, and was never caught. Despite the passage of time, her family remains haunted by the memories and cannot move on from the tragedy. Lucy feels as though she was born to fill the void left by Summer. In the next scene, we see Lucy entering her sister's room, which looks exactly the same as it did 21 years ago. While there, Lucy hears a strange noise from the floor and finds some hidden letters. One of them is a warning addressed to Summer, saying she would regret something, signed by someone named E. At that moment, her mother appears, urging her to quickly hide the letter. Afterward, the family leaves the house, as it turns out to be the anniversary of Summer's death. During a meal together, Lucy tells her parents that she has been offered an internship at NASA, which would take her to Washington, D.C. for 3 months. Her parents aren't thrilled about the decision, as they are overly protective of her. Her father suggests that Lucy work at the family-owned company, Sonar, which is also working on some innovative technologies. Lucy doesn't entirely agree with the idea, but chooses not to argue, especially given her parents' somber mood that day. After breakfast, the family visits the warehouse where Summer died and the memorial dedicated to her. Her parents leave some gifts for Summer and then ask Lucy if she brought something to leave there. Lucy admits she forgot, then heads to the car, claiming she's going to get something. When Lucy reaches the car, she tries to remove her necklace to leave it as a gift. However, suddenly, she hears a loud noise coming from the nearby warehouse. Curious, Lucy walks toward it and finds a machine emitting beeping sounds. Without hesitation, Lucy touches the machine's screen, and the date automatically changes to April 16, 2003. Then, sharp lasers emerge from the machine and collide with each other, creating some kind of portal. Lucy, exposed to the effects of the lasers, feels strange for a moment before everything returns to normal. Confused, Lucy steps out of the warehouse and senses something is off. Her surroundings look very different. The warehouse is no longer an abandoned complex, and the memorial for Summer is nowhere to be found. Lucy also can't find her parents anywhere. When she tries to make a call, Lucy realizes there's no signal. Panicking, she heads toward the town and sees a sign that shocks her. The year is now 2003. Lucy eventually makes her way to her school, Sweetly High School, and immediately notices striking differences. Everyone is dressed differently, in outdated styles, and they're using old devices that seem long obsolete. Most surprisingly, Lucy sees her sister, Summer, among the crowd. Summer appears to be chatting with her friends, Brian and Val. Then Ethan approaches, seemingly trying to win Summer's heart again after their recent breakup. However, Summer seems uninterested and avoids him. Next, Lucy heads to the lab and meets the physics teacher there. The teacher doesn't recognize her, so Lucy introduces herself as a new student and asks for his opinion on time travel. The teacher, however, points Lucy to Quinn, who he says is a physics genius. Quinn explains how time travel is a bad idea because it could cause dangerous ripple effects. Later, as Lucy walks down the hallway, she sees Ethan, Brian, and a few other students cornering Quinn and dragging him outside. One of the students mentions it's an annual senior tradition to throw someone into the river. They take Quinn to a nearby river, planning to toss him into the water. The whole school gathers to watch the event, cheering and laughing. Summer is also there as a spectator, and although she disapproves of Ethan's behavior, she doesn't make any effort to stop him. Meanwhile, Lucy, unable to just stand by, jumps in to save Quinn from the bullies. Suddenly, a teacher arrives and disperses the crowd, making the students back off. Feeling embarrassed, Quinn tells Lucy that he doesn't need help from any girl to handle his problems. However, Lucy responds that if Quinn is truly a physics genius, there's something very important he needs to know. Lucy finally reveals that she is from the future, leaving Quinn shocked. Initially skeptical, Quinn eventually believes her after Lucy shows him her smartphone and demonstrates how it works. At that moment, Lucy spots Summer arguing with her best friend Emmy outside. Without hesitation, Lucy takes Quinn to the warehouse where the time machine is located, but unfortunately, the machine doesn't work as expected. So, they decide to load the machine into Quinn's van and take it to his garage. After inspecting the machine, they realize it was developed by a company called Sonar. They also discover an empty tube and start to think they might need one of these tubes to get the time machine working again. Lucy suggests searching for the tube since her father works at the Sonar facility. Meanwhile, Summer approaches Emmy and says she wants to talk about something. However, Emmy tells Summer to leave her alone, saying she's already made her choice. On the other hand, Lucy begins to realize that the day is April 16th, so there's still time to save her sister, as Summer will be killed on April 18th. Lucy asks Quinn whether she should try to change the past, but Quinn explains that any changes made to the past will permanently affect the future, creating numerous paradoxes. Shortly after they arrive in front of Summer's house, Lucy reveals her plan to steal her father's keycard. Quinn looks shocked and finally realizes that Lucy is actually Summer's sister. Quinn warns that interacting with her family could be very dangerous, but Lucy insists it's the only way to get into Sonar. They approach Summer, and Quinn hands her his calculus homework. It turns out Summer loves doing homework and often does assignments for fun. Summer also asks if Quinn can help her with chemistry, but Quinn claims he's busy and instead introduces Lucy, saying she's really good at science. Excited, Summer takes Lucy into the house and introduces her to her parents. While they're all having dinner, Lucy compliments the food and asks if they cook meals like this often. Summer's mom replies that she and Summer always cook together every day, and it's her favorite time of day. Lucy feels a bit disheartened hearing this, knowing that in the future, her mom never cooks for her anymore. After dinner, they spend time together, and Summer helps Lucy update her appearance to fit the fashion standards of that time. Lucy then notices a photo of Summer with Brian and Val and asks if they've been friends for a long time. Summer replies that they've been childhood friends and hopes she and Lucy can go to the mall soon so Summer can introduce Lucy to them. At that moment, Lucy remembered that today was a very important day, the day Brian and Val would die at the mall, and it terrified her. Lucy immediately asked Summer, "What time does the mall close?" Summer replied, "At 9. Realizing there was only half an hour left, Lucy quickly rushed out of the house. When she arrived at the mall, Lucy had only 5 minutes before it closed. She ran into Ethan, who flipped her off. Meanwhile, Val was trying on some dresses in the fitting room, while Brian waited for her outside. Lucy then encountered Quinn, who was apparently working at the mall. She asked him about Brian and Val, and Quinn said he overheard that they were heading to the 3rd floor. Hearing that, Lucy panicked and ran there with Quinn following behind. Meanwhile, Brian, who was bored, was fiddling with his toy when he accidentally dropped a CD on the floor. As Brian bent down to pick it up, the killer suddenly appeared and stabbed him in the neck. Moments later, Val came out of the fitting room and was horrified to see Brian's lifeless body. The killer reappeared and tried to attack Val too, but she fought hard to escape. In that critical moment, Lucy arrived to help Val, and they managed to run away. However, as they were going up the escalator, Val tripped and fell. This gave the killer the chance to brutally kill her by smashing her head against the escalator. Lucy screamed for help, which caught the attention of the security guard, but the killer easily overpowered and killed the guard, before eventually fleeing the mall. After the incident, Lucy and Quinn went to her house, and Lucy let Quinn stay over for the night. Lucy admitted that the security guard shouldn't have died, and she felt like her intervention had only made things worse. Quinn asked if they ever caught the killer in the future, and Lucy said no. That's why Lucy decided not to meddle anymore and planned to return to the year 2024. The next morning, Lucy woke up super early and snuck into her house to look for her father's keycard. Unfortunately, Summer caught her and became confused, asking why Lucy had gone to the mall the night before, especially after her friends had died. With no other choice, Lucy came clean and revealed that she was her sister and had come from the future. Of course, Summer thought it was all ridiculous, just as Lucy expected, so Lucy showed her a letter from Ethan, claiming that Lucy Lucy would find the letter under the floorboards in 21 years, but Summer said she had never seen the letter before, which frustrated Lucy. Finally, Lucy decided to leave without giving further explanation. Lucy headed straight to Quinn's place, and the two of them tried to figure out how to activate the time machine. Meanwhile, Summer arrived at school, opened her locker, and suddenly found a letter that looked exactly like the one Lucy had shown her. Summer was completely shocked when she realized it was the same letter, and we see Ethan walking away from the area. Meanwhile, Lucy and Quinn were trying to figure out how to understand the time machine. They realized that two elements had to come into contact to create the effect of time travel. Particle A was a laser beam, while particle B was antimatter. The time machine was already equipped with particle A, but they still needed antimatter to get the machine running again. While the two were still busy working, Summer suddenly showed up unexpectedly. Summer told Lucy that she now believed her and asked what her future would be like. Lucy lied, saying Summer would have a great life, with a cool job and a handsome husband. Summer immediately asked if they had caught the killer, but Lucy replied that they had never found the killer. Summer was completely shocked and asked who would die next. Reluctantly, Lucy answered that it would be Emmy. Hearing this, Summer panicked and said they had to stop everything no matter what, but Lucy argued that they couldn't change the past without making things worse. However, Summer insisted, and suddenly Quinn, who had a crush on Summer, agreed with her. Eventually, the three of them armed themselves with weapons and headed to the Maritime Museum, where Emmy worked the night shift. They tried calling the office several times, but there was no answer. It turned out Emmy couldn't hear the phone because she was wearing headphones while cleaning. When they arrived at the museum, they couldn't find Emmy anywhere, so they decided to split up. Outside, we see the killer arriving. Moments later, Emmy, who was cleaning alone, didn't realize the killer was approaching her. Summer, who noticed, suddenly appeared outside the door and signaled to Emmy to be careful. Emmy immediately ran, and with Summer's help, the two of them managed to escape. The killer broke through the door, but Quinn and Lucy, who heard the commotion, joined in, and eventually, they all managed to get away. Back at the house during their conversation, Lucy finally learned that the letter signed E wasn't from Ethan, but from Emmy. Summer then came clean, revealing that she and Emmy were actually dating and had promised each other to be honest about their relationship with their parents. However, at the last moment, Summer backed out, which left Emmy deeply disappointed. The next day, Lucy casually asked her parents if they had ever considered having another child. Her parents laughed and said they had decided not to because Summer was enough for them. That response made Lucy feel terrible, realizing that if Summer didn't survive, Lucy might not have a life to return to. Lucy eventually stole her dad's keycard and left the house. She met with Summer and finally opened up about her death. Lucy also explained that if Summer didn't survive, Lucy wouldn't exist in the future. But now, Lucy had made up her mind to save Summer because she didn't have much time left. Lucy told Summer about how she suffered as a child, always feeling like she was a replacement for Summer. Hearing this, Summer felt guilty and realized how deeply her death would affect their family. Lucy then said she had a plan and asked Summer to trust her completely. That night, Lucy decided to sneak into the sonar facility, and Quinn joined her. Meanwhile, Summer returned to the warehouse party, the place that was supposed to be her final destination. After spending some time enjoying the party, Summer eventually stepped outside. At that moment, she encountered the killer, who immediately began chasing her. Meanwhile, Quinn and Lucy successfully snuck into the facility using Lucy's dad's keycard. They were shocked to find that the security guard there was already dead. Additionally, one of the tubes containing antimatter was missing, which meant the killer had gotten there first. They concluded that the killer must have come from the future and was likely the one who had developed the time machine. Without wasting any time, they grabbed the remaining antimatter tube from the box and quickly left. Back at the warehouse, Summer was trapped as the killer closed in to finish her off. However, before he could strike, a van driven by Lucy and Quinn came crashing into him. Lucy immediately pulled Summer into the van, and they sped off. But just as they were about to escape, they saw the killer begin to rise. To their shock, the killer removed his mask, revealing himself as an older Quinn from the future. The three teens hurriedly reversed the van and drove back to the garage where the time machine was located. Quinn, however, was worried that his future self would know exactly where they were, since it was also his own lab. Before entering the garage, Quinn told Lucy that he would never turn into a monster like that, and reassured her that he trusted her completely. Once inside, Lucy attempted to activate the time machine with the antimatter they had brought, but the older Quinn, now the killer, appeared and burst through the door. He began explaining how his life had fallen apart after they threw him into the river and how Summer had laughed at him. It turned out the outcast nerd had grown up harboring deep hatred for those who had bullied him in high school. Even though the teens tried to convince him that none of that had ever happened, the psychotic Quinn insisted it was all part of the timeline. As an adult, Quinn had built the time machine to return to the past, kill Summer and all of her friends, and then disappear into the void of time. At that moment, the time machine was on the verge of total destruction, so young Quinn pulled Summer out of the situation. Lucy then lured Psycho Quinn away in an intense confrontation. Psycho Quinn attacked her with a knife, but Lucy managed to fight back by stunning him with a car charger. As he collapsed to the floor, Lucy realized that the time machine had been shut down. Lucy then spotted the antimatter tube in Psycho Quinn's pocket, but just as she tried to grab it, he woke up. Without hesitation, Lucy grabbed the knife and stabbed him right in the chest. In the final scene, we are taken back to the year 2003, where Summer and Quinn are talking about how much they're going to miss Lucy. They seem sad, but a few moments later, Lucy suddenly appears behind them after using the antimatter tube to time travel. Lucy tells them that she just came back from 2024, but something feels strange. Her parents no longer recognize her. Lucy then reveals the big decision she made. She chose to stay in 2003, where she could have a normal life, with the parents she always wanted, alongside her sister and her new best friend, Quinn. The film ends shortly after, showing Lucy now living happily with her family, enjoying a life filled with love and joy.